This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
And good evening. After years of delays and setbacks, a housing complex set to bring hundreds of affordable units to San Francisco broke ground today. And it comes after a creative pivot from the developer. So the development is located at 300 DeHaro Street. It's right off of 16th in Potrero Hill. The plan calls for more than 400 units, all affordable, along with 6,000 square feet of commercial space. So the project was originally planned as market rate homes. But when that stalled out, the developer changed course and took advantage of a new state law that fast-tracked affordable housing. Our John Ramis explains how even with regulations being relaxed, don't expect a housing boom anytime soon.
Advocates often say the solution to homelessness is to build more homes. And for years, the state has been working to get rid of laws and regulations that stand in the way of that. But now, even with much of that removed, developers say there are still a lot of roadblocks to getting housing built. The new 10-story development at 300 DeHaro Street will add 425 units of 100% affordable housing to San Francisco, designed specifically for working people with middle incomes. It's something that's desperately needed, but under the previous rules,
we would not be standing here because the project wouldn't be entitled, most likely.
Really, it was that restrictive?
It's development in San Francisco is challenging. There's a lot of hurdles, and so a lot of projects either are delayed or are never built.
Mark McDonald is the CEO of DM Development, the company behind the 300 DeHaro project. It was the first site in the state to be approved under Senate Bill 35, a measure passed in 2017 that forces cities to accept affordable housing projects.
It wasn't a yes or no anymore. It was, this is going to happen.
Corey Smith heads up the Housing Action Coalition. He, like most activists, wants to see housing built quickly, but he's had to accept some hard truths.
While we do need to operate with urgency to have this go faster, and we're not seeing a bunch of housing breaking ground today that we would hope for, I have accepted the fact that this is going to be a multi-decade fix. That is just the reality of it, unfortunately.
That's because market forces are holding things up. First and foremost is the increase in construction costs, at one point rising at 1% per month. Also, a lack of capital available as investors turn to safer sectors in a time of high interest rates. Then there was a post-COVID stagnation in rent. In layman's terms, it simply doesn't pay to build housing in the current environment.
First, we had COVID that scared away a lot of institutional investors, and they simply redlined San Francisco and Investment Committee. That's changing now. The narrative around the city is changing now.
300 DeHaro was originally planned as market rate housing, but without the benefit of government subsidies, most of that has pretty much come to a halt. So McDonald's company shifted gears, and now he says costs are leveling off and rents are starting to rise. Good news for developers. And he says the old doom loop image of San Francisco is starting to go away.
So I have seen this movie now 4 times, and everyone leaves San Francisco for dead, and then it rises like a phoenix out of the ashes. It has happened every single time, and it's going to happen this time, and it's happening as we speak.
It took 6 years for the 300 DeHaro project to even begin construction, and it will take a generation for San Francisco to get the housing it needs. But that may actually be possible now that the state and cities have gotten out of the way.
If all goes as planned, the housing complex will be finished sometime in the summer of 2027. It is intended for working people with incomes between $45,000 and $95,000 per year. State Senator Scott Wiener authored the bill that made the project possible. He also has another housing bill currently working through Sacramento. Senate Bill 79 would allow more apartments to be built near public transit stations across the state. Those buildings could be up to 9 stories tall, depending on the project. Supporters say it is another way to fight the housing crisis and boost public transit ridership. But opponents argue it does not do enough to guarantee the new housing would be affordable. The bill already passed the Senate and is waiting action in the Assembly. Fire crews are making progress on the picket fire in Napa County. Some evacuation orders have been actually downgraded to warnings, but dozens of people Still, they can't go home. They've been evacuated since Thursday, and the fire is just 13% contained. And then check this out. The fire is burning east of Calistoga in an area so remote, Cal Fire is flying crews in by helicopter. Fire officials say the steep terrain is making containment difficult. So this crew will be working on building fire control lines, something Cal Fire says has to be done by hand.
Air resources by themselves don't put a fire out. We still need to put people on the ground. So that's what our focus is right now, is getting into those areas that are very, very hard to access. Getting crews in there. Some of the we have dozers where they can go, and they can cut a nice 6, 8, 10 foot wide swath of containment line very, very quickly. But the fact is the dozers aren't even able to get to a lot of places.
So far, about 11 square miles have burned. Napa County has declared a local emergency due to the fire, and right now Cal Fire is holding a virtual community meeting to answer questions about the picket fire. That's streaming on the Cal Fire LNU Facebook page. Meantime, smoke from the fire is another concern. So here's a live look. This is from our camera on Mount Diablo, facing north towards Solano County. The Bay Area Air District has extended an air quality advisory for Solano, Napa, and Sonoma counties through Wednesday. People are encouraged to stay inside with doors and windows closed. Search crews in San Rafael have discovered a second body in the rubble of last week's apartment fire. In fact, investigators say they found the adult body in a heavily damaged area of the building. They found another adult body Friday. The two were in separate apartments. The coroner has not identified them, but investigators believe they are the two people who went missing during the fire. Police are investigating the fire as suspicious, saying they don't yet know what caused it, but they want to preserve as much evidence as possible in case this does turn into a criminal investigation. Meantime, the Canal Alliance is working with the city of San Rafael to provide resources to survivors, like temporary housing and hotels, which they say is pretty costly.
We estimated that just the hotel itself can cost between $60,000 to $70,000. So it's a huge effort that we had to do.
While housing is a major focus, the Canal Alliance is also assisting the residents, many of whom are immigrants, with getting new identification, critical documents, and more. Immigration raids across the state have resulted in a dramatic drop in field workers, putting this year's harvest at risk. Our Itai Hod spoke with one local farmer to learn how he's using technology to keep his business alive during these difficult times.
On California's Central Coast, known as America's fruit basket, picking strawberries can break more than just a sweat. But for farmer Larry Jacobs, who spent 4 decades growing some of the most sought-after chives, basil, and tomatoes, the biggest struggle isn't growing crops. It's finding enough hands to work the fields, a challenge made even harder by recent immigration raids.
We've had some people who resign because of the changes. Hey, we're just going to go back to Mexico.
Because they're too afraid?
Yeah, yes.
With nearly 88,000 farm jobs unfilled each year, small growers like Jacobs are turning to high-tech.
This has been an issue for the last 5 years and 10 years. It's hard to find people to do this work.
From punching holes for seedlings, to shaking nuts from trees, and even scorching weeds with flames, these robots are saving small farms from going under. But even though these machines are ready to work, the law isn't. In California, state regulations prohibit the use of autonomous machines on farms, in most cases requiring a human to stay close by.
At some point soon, I think you'll be able to farm from your office.
Tyler Naide, CEO of Bonsai Robotics, the company behind these machines, says these regulations were written back in the 1970s, when driverless technology was still science fiction.
There's a huge push right now to rewrite this legislation based around autonomy, because we now know things about it. We know how these systems work.
With the average farmer now 58, Jacobs hopes automation might plant the seed for a new generation of growers.
If you can take the grunge work out of it and make it interesting with the technology, that's just going to create a lot of excitement. It's already happening.
And maybe, just maybe, help cultivate a whole new crop of farmers.
According to the company Bonsai Robotics, the robots start at $13,000 each, a price Jacobs says is worth it to keep his farm up and running. The removal hearing for the San Mateo County Sheriff is now in its second week. Second week now, Sheriff Christina Corpus is facing allegations of misconduct and abuse of power. She disputed those claims on the stand last week, and today another key witness testified. Deputy Carlos Tapia, the union president, described his arrest last November. He was taken into custody without a warrant on allegations of time card fraud. The DA eventually cleared him of wrongdoing. Legal analyst Steve Clark says his testimony bolsters the county's allegations that Corpus retaliated against employees who criticized her.
This is the most egregious example of Sheriff Corpus's vindictiveness against her enemies. And I think that's why the county is highlighting it so prominently in their case. But it's not the only one. And they're saying this was a pattern of behavior.
Corpus's attorneys say the allegations are largely due to resistance to her reform efforts. When the hearing is over, a retired Santa Clara County judge will issue a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. They will then vote on whether to remove Corpus from office. Still ahead here at 6, Foster City has a geese problem and residents don't want the city to kill them. The city's new strategy as people get more and more fed up with what the geese leave behind.
It's in our pathways. It's in our parks, it's in our sports fields, it's obviously in our lagoon, which is impacting the water quality.
Plus, first it was Phil's. Now another Bay Area-born coffee company is being bought out. Local charges have been dropped against Richard Tillman. He's been indicted for allegedly crashing his car into the San Jose post office and setting it on fire. The Santa Clara County DA says they're dropping the charges because Tillman is facing federal prosecution for the same crime. The post office was a total loss. Tillman, the brother of the late NFL star and veteran Pat Tillman, has pleaded not guilty to the federal arson charges. For the past several years, Foster City officials have tried to figure out how to improve the way humans and geese coexist. Right now, just under 300 geese live there, and there's a foul problem that nobody's debating. But how to move forward? Well, everyone has an opinion.
The solution is let it go, let them live, and let's clean up the goose poop.
Well, now the city has decided on a new plan that some are pretty confident will finally bring change, but others question the price tag. Max Darrow explains.
That's one family, right?
When Angela Stucker takes
family.
a gander at these geese with her kids Jace and Jade.
Oh, they're so cute.
This Foster City resident sees them as her neighbors.
I realize that they're really cool if you get to know them.
When they stick their head out like this and it's like, hello, how you doing?
The Stuckers leave them be.
And then that one right there is just minding his own business and just eating his grass.
But many of their neighbors have a problem with what happens after the geese eat the grass.
It's feces, it's poop, and it's in our pathways, it's in our parks, it's in our sports fields. It's obviously in our lagoon, which is impacting the water quality.
Parks and Rec Director Derek Schweigert says Foster City leaders have spent years trying to figure out how to manage the large goose population in an effort to reduce the poop. Past city leaders said strategies like fogging, egg addling, lasers, and more just didn't work.
In isolation, they're not very effective. The geese adapt very quickly.
So, a previous iteration of the city council said they'd acquire federal permits to kill up to 100 geese. After public outcry, they backed off. And now, Schweigert says the city has a $400,000 plan that he thinks will finally work, that will also work for the bulk of the Foster City community.
It is focused on habitat modification, which is removing food source from the geese, changing and adapting the environment that is very attractive to them here in Foster City. And that's a long-term solution, but in the meantime, we are going to condition the geese to not be here in Foster City, make this a less attractive space for them.
The strategy will involve drones, dogs, lasers, and more, many of the tools they've used in the past. Only this time, Schweigert says they will be used simultaneously.
It's one thing to come out and say, we tried this activity, we tried this mitigation measure. We did not try them collectively. The geese are here, they're residents. However, our goal is to reduce the amount of conflict that there is between humans and geese.
Spartacus.
But Stucker is skeptical it will amount to change and questions the price tag.
I just don't think that they're going to go away. They've been here forever.
From her standpoint, the geese deserve to remain in Foster City despite the droppings they leave behind.
We have to accept nature for all it is, and this is what comes along with it.
With the new strategy in tow, time will tell if the geese decide to take a gander at a new community to call home.
The parks director mentioned the geese are affecting the water quality, and according to the nonprofit Heal the Bay, Foster City's beaches consistently rank about the most polluted in California. Well, this year, Erkenbach Park ranked 6th on the annual Beach Bummers list. 3 other Foster City beaches have actually made the list in just the past 2 years. But it's not only the geese's fault. Heal the Bay says the city's channel network suffers from poor circulation and runoff, making the water stagnant.
From geese
to
other things in the air, like the fog. The low cloud cover spreading out over San Francisco. It was a normal late August day, almost aggressively normal, with temperatures within 1 or 2 degrees of average across the entire region. We'll keep this going for a few more days, but we are tracking a Labor Day weekend warm up coming up in the First Alert forecast.
All right, I know it's not about me. However, there is a tropical storm churning in the Pacific named Juliet.
Kind
the way
of
I
about you.
spell it. I did kind of about me, but it's going to be a mellow one. She's going to kind of come in and have a soft breeze.
It's going to not really affect land whatsoever. So you get a hurricane named after you, and it's not going to do any damage. So
There
it's
you
kind
go.
of the best of all worlds. And
Sounds good.
regardless of whether the name is male or female, we refer to hurricanes as its.
As it's, okay.
Yeah,
See,
so-
I told you, it's not about me.
Well,
Okay.
somehow it seems like it all of a sudden
We'll
was.
discuss it again tomorrow.
Yes, I'm
and
sure.
Again,
I'm
and
sure
again.
we will. Let's take a look at outside right now and seeing the fog spreading out over the Bay Bridge. Our view from Salesforce Tower about to be obscured. We are going to see that low cloud cover and fog spreading out tonight. Air quality advisory continues for the North Bay tomorrow. It's not an air quality alert. It's an advisory, which means you're going to see some smoke on the horizon coming from the picket fire, but ground level air quality not likely to get any worse than the moderate category. Near average temperatures continue through the rest of this week, and then just a little bit warmer for Labor Day weekend. Doesn't like we're going to see any dangerous heat. A little bit of monsoonal moisture floating through the skies overhead has resulted in some clouds in our neck of the woods, some showers and thunderstorms for other parts of California, but nothing like that around the Bay Area. Our temperatures still running close to what's typical for late August, 60s in San Francisco and Oakland, mostly 70s now farther inland, and just the warmest spot in Concord still running in the low 80s. Let's take a look at the fog as we head through the rest of tonight. We'll track it on the floor map with the simulation from Futurecast showing it really spreading out as we head through the rest of tonight. A good push into the inland valleys of the North Bay, into the Santa Clara Valley, some intrusion through the Delta as well into those inland valleys of the East Bay. But once the sun comes up, that fog is going to start to pull back to around the Bay by mid-morning, retreating to the coast by lunchtime tomorrow. At the coast, I don't think you're going to see much sunshine yet tomorrow, but you are going to see more of that as we head through the rest of the week. Let's take a look at the forecast highs for tomorrow, and they are going to be once again within 3 or 4 degrees on either side of average. San Jose, a couple degrees above normal, getting up to the mid-80s, closer to 90 degrees for Los Gatos and Morgan Hill. Temperatures east of the Oakland Hills, we're going to see mostly 80s there as well, when the hot spots are only getting up into the upper 80s. That's not bad for this time of year, with temperatures around the Bay, a mix of 70s and 80s, and then 60s at the coast, with the North Bay reaching up into the 70s and some 80s. But again, the hottest spot staying below 90 degrees, which is good news for the fire crews that are continuing to try to get the containment levels around the picket fire boosted a little bit. Let's zoom in for a closer look at the latest statistics. At this point, just 13% contained. The fire has grown to over 6,800 acres. The smoke being produced by the fire, though, is largely going to be blown away from the Bay Area. So that southwesterly wind is going to be continuing, pushing that smoke farther and farther away from the North Bay for the most part, some of it drifting around in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but as long as it's not at ground level, then we're doing okay. But we are going to keep an eye on that for as long as the fire is consuming new vegetation. It's still going to be producing those plumes of smoke that we have to keep an eye on for any potential impact on our air quality. The breeze is going to be onshore as we head through the next couple of days. Let's take a look at the temperature trend, which does warm us up as we hit Labor Day weekend into the low to mid 90s inland Saturday and Sunday, but that's a far cry from record territory in late August and even the first day of September. Labor Day itself puts us back to near normal highs, mostly in the 80s. Temperatures Bayside are going to go up and down a little bit as well, up by Saturday and Sunday, but only into the mid to upper 70s, and then almost exactly normal high temperatures for Labor Day. While at the coast, temperatures don't change a lot, but after another foggy day tomorrow, you do get to see more sunshine as we head through the latter half of the work week and even for much of Labor Day weekend. Jules?
Paul, thank you. When we come back, how San Jose State is celebrating a major milestone at the start of this new school year. The company behind Dr. Pepper, 7-Up, and Keurig Coffee announced today it will buy the owner of Bay Area-born Peet's Coffee in a deal worth about $18 billion. So Keurig Dr. Pepper will acquire JDE Peet's with plans to split into two separate companies after the deal closes. One will focus on coffee while the other focuses on beverages like sodas and energy drinks. Peet's was founded in Berkeley back in 1966 by Alfred Peet, an immigrant from the Netherlands. It merged with a Dutch beverage company, in 2015. All right, San Jose State University is celebrating record enrollment today at its annual flag-raising ceremony in front of San Jose City Hall. Roughly 40,000 students are currently enrolled in the university, and that is up 8% compared to last fall. It is also the highest enrollment total for a single term in the school's 168-year history. San Jose State's president took this opportunity to brag on the university's success. Go for it.
It's the quality of the academic programs, it's the quality of our faculty and staff, the opportunity to get jobs, the opportunity to really excel on campus in everything that we do.
The school's online program saw an increase of 30%, as did their professional and continuing education, which have an enrollment of nearly 5,000 students. Brag on. CBS Evening News is next on KPIX. We'll see you at 7 o'clock with more local news.